Yeah, so preconception nutrition, this is what I want us to discuss as our second topic from introduction. And preconception nutrition, remember, in the nutrition in the life cycle, we are going to discuss all the life stages one by one in details. So this unit is a bit wide, and as you can see, we only have two lessons, and I believe by next week there will be three, so that we can be able to cover as much as possible in the time that we have. Yeah. So preconception nutrition, this is our first part that I want us to cover. And like we have discussed on the chart, this is a period before pregnancy. So in this case, there are very many factors that are supposed to be considered for, in this case, this is preparation for pregnancy. A person is preparing to get pregnant or to fertilize someone. So this is something this is where we consider both men and women. We are supposed to consider the two of them, because both of them, they play a part in ensuring that there will be a child to be born and so on. So I really hope that this will be very interactive session. Deborah, I believe you have covered, we covered last semester management of malnutrition. And this is almost a similar topic, only that in that case, we were dwelling more on the malnutrition part. Yes, what malnutrition can make a person, as in how malnutrition can affect a person. In this case, we discussed for the issues to do with the fertility in women. What are the challenges, or what can happen if they are not well nourished? Yeah. So here, malnutrition part in this unit will be very, very brief. But when it comes to management of malnutrition, we go into detail. Yeah. So let the class kick. So in this case, like I was saying, on the male part, we only consider about the fertility of a man. And remember, we have different factors that can affect the fertility of a man. Like, we have several cases. We have cases whereby you find that a person is not fertile. So in this case, what can be done? And that can be a nutritional problem. So Deborah, can you remember one of the nutrients that affect the fertility in men? Deborah? Deborah, can you remember one of the a nutrient that affect man fertility? I don't know. Deborah, are you with us? Okay. Yeah, so in this case, you find that we have several nutrients. For example, the most common one is zinc, and zinc play a very critical role in fertility, as it enhances the things like sperm maturity. Okay, the sperm may be there, but they're not mature enough. A person may be ejaculating, but there is no sperm. It's about the sperm quality. Is the sperm able to move to, like, sperm is supposed to swim in the semen until it gets to the fallopian tube? Is it having energy enough to move? Because they may be there, but they are not mature, or they cannot be able to move to the fallopian tube of a woman. Or in other cases, they may not be there at all. So in this case, we have very many key things that we consider. In that case, we'll discuss more in detail in the management of malnutrition. Yeah, so pre-pregnancy nutrition is important, as that during pregnancy, it influences the woman's ability to conceive, determines the fetus growth, development, and as such, the size of the fetus and the overall health, as well as the health of the mother. So this is why pre-pregnancy nutrition is very, very key. As in, it needs to be, as in, we need to pay attention to it. Though in most of the cases, women may get pregnant without even knowing that. As in, some of them, they are not planned, some are planned. But when a person is planning to get pregnant, in this case, you can assist. You are able to prevent, like, you're preventing things like the pregnancy problems. For example, you may find that a person may be having like very severe problems, like a person is having like things like backache during pregnancy. They are having things to do with nausea. Then they are able to get prepared for all those changes. You know, basically what happened during pregnancy, there are very many changes that occur in a woman's body, and those changes, they need to be handled well such that they don't affect their nutrition status. Yeah, so in this case, at the end of it all, a woman is able to give birth to a very healthy fetus. So this pre-pregnancy nutrition can even affect the weight of the fetus, the weight of the health of a mother, because you know we usually have cases whereby either a child can be born dead. In that case, we talked about stillbirth. Stillbirth is whereby you find a child is born but he or she is dead, or a child is born but low birth weight. That is issue to do with nutrition. Another thing is that a woman can give birth and then the woman passes on because of issues to do with the blood, anemia cases. So these are things that can be prevented, and if well treated, or if well taken care of, this problem can be minimized. And this is why pre-pregnancy nutrition is very, very critical. Also, we may have a child that is born but with very many defects. For example, a child is born with conditions such as spina bifida. Hoping, Deborah, you can remember spina bifida. This is a deficiency, mostly deficiency of fetus. Even the others we covered management of malnutrition, and principles of human nutrition, whereby we discussed the deficiency of different nutrients. And one of the deficiency of folate is spina bifida, whereby you find that a child is born with the spinal cord is not completely covered. There is a space, like a space whereby you can see the cerebrospinal fluid accumulate, as in you can see it in a membrane, like it is not fully closed. And this is a problem that can affect a child even later on. So all these problems are able to be prevented during the pre-pregnancy period. As you are well aware of that, during pregnancy, what happens is during the first trimester, this is when we have the child needing a lot of folate. So a mother needs to have enough storage of folate before they get pregnant, such that a child can get enough folate and they cannot have the issues to do with the neurotube development. Yeah, so basically, what else can we discuss here? Malnutrition prior and around pregnancy make the placenta fail to develop fully. Therefore, it cannot optimally nourish the fetus. What do you mean by that? They simply mean, like, if a woman is having issues to do with the nutrition status before pregnancy and they become pregnant, there is chances of losing that child. You know, placenta, this is what is supposed to be feeding the child. And if a child is not fed, or if a placenta cannot be able to support the child fully, it will be expelled out. So this leads to issues to do with miscarriage. This is something that can be prevented, especially if there is issues to do with the nutrition status. Yeah, so like what Hafsa was asking about what about the body status of the woman? So the body's health status, it's cutting across the health conditions and the nutrition status. So in this case, nutrition status of a woman is supposed to be like these underweight cases of women, they're supposed to be corrected before they become pregnant to reduce the cases of miscarriages or another problems. So a well-nourished woman before conception begin her pregnancy with reserve for several nutrients, so that needs of the fetus can be met without jeopardizing her health. Underweight and overweight women experience more complications during pregnancy than women of normal weight. So in this case, this is why it's very critical, as in a woman nutrition status need to be checked before they become pregnant. And also, we also have issues to do with the micronutrient deficiencies. And you know, micronutrient deficiency, it's not something that you can see with your eyes. As in, this is not something that can be diagnosed like underweight. You know, underweight you can physically see. Before even you take the weight and the height to calculate the BMI, you can physically see that this woman is likely to be underweight. But for micronutrient deficiency, you cannot tell. And these micronutrients are very critical, especially in the first 3 months. Actually, the first month of pregnancy, the micronutrients such as folate, iron, these are very critical nutrients, as they help. For example, folate helps in the development of the CNS, the central nervous system, that is the brain. And you know, the CNS develop within the first 2 weeks. We will discuss that in pregnancy. Yeah, so this micronutrient deficiency, they are supposed to be corrected way before pregnancy to ensure that a child will be healthy. Yeah, so obese women have an increased risk of complications associated with hypertension, gestation diabetes. Gestation diabetes, it's high blood sugar. It's whereby you find that a pregnant woman is having high blood sugar, and what happened is a person may previously this person was not diabetic. So when a woman previously was not diabetic, but when they become pregnant, they are diagnosed with high blood sugar. That is referred to as gestational diabetes. Gestational period, Hafsa and Hanifa and Grace, gestation period, this is the period between, as in during pregnancy actually. That is the whole period, gestation period. It is referred to as that 9 months duration. It is gestation period. So in this case, we have gestational diabetes. Hypertension, we will discuss more about conditions such as preeclampsia, whereby it's the hypertension during pregnancy. Don't worry about that. We'll discuss that in pregnancy. And the risk of cesarean section. These women, the obese women, they are always mostly, let me use the word mostly or commonly, they're at risk of going through cesarean section due to their because in most of the cases they have a high birth weight children, as in the children that they bear, they are usually having high birth weight, as in they are very big. Then low birth weight is a key factor in mortality in the developmental and learning disorder in children. As in most of the children who are born with low birth weight, they are at risk of infant mortality. They can die, or if they grow, they usually have developmental and learning disorders. You find that in most of the cases, the child is delayed. Like you find that when a child is supposed to be sitting, they cannot sit at that time because their body is not well developed. So they take time to develop, but they catch up later on. They catch up because we have children who are born with low birth weight, and by the time they're getting to 2 years, they catch up with their age mates. But you find that a child who is born with a normal weight is a child who is born with above 2.5 kgs. 2.5 kgs. A child who is born below 2.5 kgs, they are low birth weight. So a child who is more than 2.5 kgs, we find that their growth rate it's okay. Like there is no challenge. There are not many problems. There are not many diseases that this child can suffer from. But a low birth weight is a child is at risk of very many complications. Yeah, so in this case, we talk of a full-term infant weighing. A full-term infant weighing less than 2.5 kgs, they are referred to as a small for gestation age. They are small for gestation age. Like I've said, gestation is that period of pregnancy. So small for gestation age. A child is full-term. Full-term, it means that they have achieved the 9 months. They have reached the 9 months. It's a full-term. A child who is born before 9 months, that's a preterm. We will discuss that later on. So in this case, a small for gestation age, it means that they are small. Less than 2.5 kgs, that's a low birth weight children. And this is due to intrauterine growth retardation. These are terms that we are going to repeat them in pregnancy again and again, so you will understand them. Intrauterine growth retardation, this term, intrauterine growth retardation, it's basically like, a child is supposed to be getting nutrients during pregnancy, a child is supposed to be getting nutrients from the mother through placenta. So you find that there is no adequate nutrients getting to the child. So a child suffers from growth retardation. A child is not growing normal even during pregnancy because they are not receiving enough nutrients, or maybe they have some issues, like they have some problems even when they are growing. But basically, in most of the cases, it's about the nutrients that they are receiving from the mother. So growth retardation is whereby you find that the growth is it's not normal, because you see even their weight is affected at birth. So deficiency of some nutrients such as calcium, iron, vitamin D, folate, as well as the use of certain drugs and alcohol have detrimental effects on the growing embryo even before a woman realizes she's pregnant. The time to focus on good nutritional and other health habits is therefore before woman get pregnant. And this is why now we are discussing about Preconception. So the nutrition assessment. Okay, before I continue, is there any question? Any question up to that point?
Yeah, madam.
Yes, ask.
Which nutrients that facilitate in men fertility?
In men fertility. Yes, like
Yeah.
I said, one of the key nutrients is zinc. If you check the
Zinc.
function, yes, zinc. This is why you need to go back to the principles of human nutrition notes actually. Check the deficiencies. Not the deficiency necessarily, but the functions. This is where you'll find that zinc has a key factor in the reproduction or reproductive health. So yes, this is part that we will discuss under management of malnutrition in depth and how they can be managed. We also have other nutrients, the antioxidants such as vitamin C. Remember the antioxidants in the principles of human nutrition. So in this case, we have antioxidants such as vitamin C. Okay, hoping you can be able to remember. Vitamin E and which one?
Vitamin E and vitamin C.
Okay, which other nutrients act as an antioxidant?
It is.
Also vitamin A. Vitamin A is an antioxidant in a way.
Yeah.
Yes, and the other micronutrient is selenium. You need to understand very well about those functions. So also antioxidants can assist in the sperm production and maturity. So you see, there are very many, and many others. You remember even protein. Protein, they need to be enough. Sorry for this. Like I was saying, so even for the male nutrition status, it can be a factor that is leading to the infertility issues. But you find that the infertility cases, they are not necessarily influenced by that. They are not necessarily actually influenced by the nutrition status of a man. You may find that their weight is normal, but they are not fertile. So some of them, okay, apart from the nutrition, other can be medical conditions. You know, it can be medical conditions. For example, diabetes. Diabetes is a condition that can make a person to be infertile, and many other factors. So, but as a nutritionist, we only play the critical role of nutrition in enhancing the fertility. If such a case is brought to you, are we together?
Yes.
Yes. Any other question? Okay, hoping you will ask us. We continue. Yeah, time is not on our side. So I hope you have understood the introduction on the preconception side, preconception part. So on the nutrition assessment, what are we supposed to be checking? So in this case, I remember a woman is fertile since they are adolescent, they are fertile enough. But during adolescent, they may be having some challenges as their body is also developing, and when they become pregnant, that can be a challenge as well. So in this case, to offer proper nutrition services for macronutrient, health workers need to establish the nutrition status of women between 15 to 49 years using the BMI and MWAC tape. So remember, this is before pregnancy, because after pregnancy, you're not supposed to calculate the BMI of a woman. But before preconception, you can calculate it so that it can guide you through when this woman becomes pregnant. So BMI and MWAC. Do you know what is a MWAC? This is mid-upper arm circumference. So in this case, you're supposed to use a tape. You measure the circumference of the arm, the upper arm. Hoping you have done the nutrition assessment. You can tell how your person is supposed to do how a person is supposed to take a MWAC. But this will be discussed later on, where we will be having the physical classes and we can do practically how to take a MWAC tape. Yeah, so in this case, BMI can be used to assess the nutrition status. I'll be very brief here. So in this case, we talk of BMI below 18.5, that's an underweight, and 19 to 24.9, this is a normal, 25 to 30, that's an overweight, and more than 30, that's a severe overweight or obese. So in this case, obese can continue, if it continue to 35, as when we start the classifying, They're obese as class 1, class 2, class 3, and so on. So I believe you know how to find the BMI, Hafsa?
Yes.
Okay, so BMI is equals to weight in kilogram, you divide by height in meters squared. Yes, and in that case, you can be able to classify either a person is underweight, normal, or overweight. Then mid-upper arm circumference, a woman at preconception is considered underweight when the mark reading is less than 21. And a pregnant or lactating woman is less than 23.5 is considered to be underweight. Then the other thing that I want us to discuss is about micronutrient deficiency, prevention, and control through diet and supplementation. Hafsa, you have a lot of background noises. Okay. Okay, so we continue on the micronutrient deficiency. So these are the key micronutrients. You know, like I said, you not only consider the physical appearance, whether a person is underweight or overweight, you also consider the critical things like micronutrient deficiency, especially during preconception period. As these nutrients, they are known to be very critical during pregnancy. So in this case, we discussed the micronutrient deficiency of folic acid, iron, iodine, and calcium. So folic acid, the role of folic acid at preconception is to reduce the risk of birth defects of the brain and spine. This is called the neurotube defects in the newborn. This is where we have the spina bifida or other conditions such as anencephaly. Okay, don't worry about that if you have never heard of that term. Just know about the neurotube defect, but I believe you have ever heard of spina bifida. So spina bifida is the most common condition that is as a result of folic acid deficiency. Then the neurotube closes during 4th week of pregnancy. So you see, within the first month, a time when most women may not know that they are pregnant. So meaning, if their storage of folic acid is not adequate, that can make a child to be born with birth defect. These women, they are at risk of neurotube defect outcome. Those previously affected by the folic acid deficiency and those with the family history of neurotube or diabetes, they may have those problems. So in this case, these women, if a woman is having any of these chances of getting a child with this neurotube defect, you can supplement them. So, and actually in Kenya currently, all pregnant women, they are given a supplement referred to as IFAS. I believe some of you maybe they have ever heard of IFAS. IFAS stands for I, it is iron. I don't know whether you have somewhere you're writing if you don't know. I stands for iron, F stands for folic. Then we have, it is IFAS, IFAS. So I iron, F folic, A acid. Then we have S for supplement. So that it can be 1 tablet or 2 tablets, one for folic, the other one for iron. And remember, folic acid is also known as folate, depending on the form that it is given. So iron is another critical nutrient. So the intake of iron before conception helps to provide adequate reserve that help to prevent anemia during pregnancy. So women should be counseled on intake of iron-rich foods such as liver, red meat, kidney, fish, chicken, etc., and many other, the green leaf vegetables, and so on. So women should be counseled to avoid food containing iron absorption inhibitors such as tea and coffee just before, during, and shortly after meal, and to consume food containing caffeine 2 or 3 hours before or after iron containing food. This is, you're trying to avoid the iron inhibitors. Remember when you are covering the principles of human nutrition, we were talking about this can inhibit iron absorption and those can enhance. Ensure that you can remember those things in each and every micronutrient, because they are very critical, especially when you're counseling a person on the intake of these micronutrients, because you have to consider those that enhances and those that inhibits. You see, women should be counseled on intake of food containing iron absorption enhancers. So in this case, you have to go back to your principles of human nutrition notes, check on the iron inhibitors and iron enhancers. This will help you to know that which food are you supposed to be telling someone to avoid and to eat. or at what time are they supposed to take them? You see, for example, the inhibitors such as tea and coffee, you know, there are people who cannot survive without them. So what they do is, if they are taking an iron-rich food, they take their tea like 2-3 hours before, and then they take their meal, not to consume them together with their meal, so such that they cannot inhibit that iron. They can take them later on, but not when they are taking with that food. Then the enhancers are supposed to be taken together with those food. So get that difference, eh? So they can take them before. So for example, things like vitamin C rich food enhances iron absorption. So in this case, oranges, the tangerine, the mangoes can enhance the iron absorption. So also food that is rich in, you remember the non-heme and heme iron. So in this case, if you take heme and non-heme foods together, it enhances then heme enhances non-heme iron food absorption, if you can remember those terms. So the non-heme iron is from mostly the plant-based. Then the heme iron is from mostly the animal. Mostly from the animal source. So in this case, if you take meat together with beans, it means that the iron that is in meat, the iron that is in meat can enhance the absorption of the iron that is in beans. It simply means that. So, and also they can take the supplement. Yes. Then iodine is also a critical micronutrient. The main role of iodine is help it prevent the iron deficiency anemia. And the iodine deficiency, IDD, the iodine deficiency. So in this case, this iodine deficiency, in most of the cases, you can note somewhere, since it is not on our notes here. One of them is the creatism, and creatism is whereby you have growth retardation. So growth retardation, remember, can affect the child in most of the cases, whereby a child can suffer from intrauterine growth retardation due to deficiency of iodine in mother diet. So in this case, this is a critical nutrient, as it even assists in the development of a child even later on. Calcium is needed in the building of the bones and teeth, for blood clotting, for regulation of the nerves, etc., absorption of iron, and so on. So women bone density diminishes in the first 3 months of pregnancy as a result of increased calcium uptake by the developing fetus. So they really require calcium within the first 3 months. It is advisable to ensure sufficient calcium intake during preconception to build up calcium reserves in the preparation for pregnancy. Because, you know, if a woman don't take these calcium rich food, what happens is that the child will get this calcium from the woman bone, and their bone will start becoming weak. Then lastly is nutrition education and counseling during preconception. And in this case, these are the key things that you're supposed to consider when you're counseling a woman. One is the variety of food, frequency of food, hygiene, focus on the locally available food, importance of adequate nutrition before pregnancy, the folic acid supplementation, as well as iron, and the prevention of anemia. Yeah. So I believe these points you are well aware of. Our time is almost up. And actually, you're supposed to be moving to the next class. Yeah, so is there any question? Hello, is there any question?
No.
So you have understood, yeah? That is well understood.
Yes.
Okay, then we can call it a day. Have a good day. Ensure you continue summarizing notes. These notes I've already uploaded them actually. So summarize notes. Thank you.
Okay.